Sunday, 24th of April 2016. This is Sylvia Shivamurthy and you're listening to the newspaper reviews on www.athavan.com. Let's now look at the paper highlights from today's newspapers. The top highlight in Sunday Times says, Move to rush back exports earnings. The government, in a dramatic late-night move, has frozen a 1993 rule permitting exporters to keep their money overseas without restriction and ordered that all earnings must be immediately brought to Sri Lanka or face the consequences. Even in the worst years of foreign exchange crisis, the then government avoided such draconian controls, analysts said. Another highlight says, Vehicle import duties dominate government's tax drive. The government has set a target of 886 billion rupees revenue from taxes, with the biggest contribution expected from vehicle import duties amounting to 280 billion rupees. Another highlight says, Minister rings SLT ears amid calls for removal of chairman. Telecommunication and Digital Infrastructure Minister Harin Fernando has directed the board of Sri Lanka Telecom to ensure that the ministry is kept informed of all transactions and projects ensuring transparency. The directive came amidst growing differences between the minister and the board as to who was in charge of the multi-million rupee government-controlled company and calls from trade unions for the resignation of the SLT chairman. And the highlight at the bottom says, Lifting of fish export ban. EC miffed over early announcement. The European Commission has objected to Thursday's early announcements by the Fisheries Ministry in Sri Lanka that the ban on Sri Lankan fisheries product exports to Europe has been lifted by the European Union. Taking up the matter through diplomatic channels in Brussels, the Directorate General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries has sought clarification on how the announcement was made by the ministry in advance before the decision was formally announced. Let's now move to the paper highlights in Sunday Observer. The top highlight in Sunday Observer says, Renew GSP status with EU imminent. Sri Lanka moves closer to regaining the highly advantageous GSP Plus exporter status with a lucrative European Union market when a crucial round of talks on the renewal of the GSP Plus tariff concessions takes place in Brussels, Belgium this week. Reacting to the decline of human rights conditions in Sri Lanka during the previous regime in 2010, the EU removed Sri Lanka from its list of countries given concessions under the generalized system of preferences, concessionary trade provisions to help selected developing countries gain access to the large and lucrative European market. Two officials from the Department of Commerce and Foreign Ministry are due to travel to Brussels this week for the talks. And the highlight in the middle says, FIU freezes bank accounts of Shalika directors. Bank accounts of the 5 directors of Shalika Foundation and their middleman Priyankara Jayadeva have been frozen by the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Central Bank. Highly placed CID sources told the Sunday Observer that it was the FIU and not the CID that had frozen these accounts, given the foundation's suspected involvement with the Bangladesh bank heist which took place in February. The foundation had $20 million transferred to its own bank account. Another highlight says, NPC demands more autonomy. Following the Northern Provincial Council passing a resolution calling for a federal solution to the national question, NPC members have called on all provincial councils to support the demand for greater autonomy. The highlight in the middle says, President to attend G7 summit. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's decision to invite President Maithripala Sirisena as a guest at the G7 summit next month is a further recognition of Sri Lanka's renewed global credibility. And the highlight at the bottom says, Third round of talks to finalize SL-China FTA. The third round of negotiations to finalize the proposed free trade agreement between China and Sri Lanka is expected to commence shortly. Chinese ambassador in Sri Lanka, Yi Xingliang, told the Sunday Observer that China is backing the early conclusion of talks for an FTA between the two traditional good neighbors. And now let's look at the paper highlights in Ceylon today. The main highlight says, 40 Sri Lankans in IS, many want to return. Another highlight says, no one is above the law. Another highlight says, Bangladesh objects to Sri Lanka's request. And the highlight at the top right corner says, Sundar Atithaya, T.M. Jayaratna in concert. Veteran singer T.M. Jayaratne's concert Sundur Atithaya will be staged at the Museums College Auditorium on 30th April at 6:30 p.m. And the highlight at the bottom says, IS makes false promises. Sri Lankans want to return. That's all for today's newspaper highlights, and we'll get back to you with more news tomorrow. Thank you.